I talk a lot about digital marketing not being separate from traditional marketing. It's just all now marketing. But I do want to talk about this renaissance that I'm experiencing and I'm pushing on my clients to introduce out-of-house marketing techniques like billboards. Because if they're paired with a strong digital presence, I'm finding my clients are getting a great ROI from having a complimentary billboard because of the almost like the celebrity status that you get when you're kind of everywhere.
That's what I wanted to talk about. That I think, because when we think of when we think of billboards, often it's got a stock photo and some cheesy line.
Yeah.
But if you're actually making content and people are seeing it pop up on Facebook and Instagram, their brain is registering your face. So on a digital ad, the brain registers it's digital. It's not a piece of paper, right? It pops up. Your brain immediately goes back to the time they saw you on a digital ad, and now they think this person is a celebrity.
I still think that the traditional post-board billboard can also be strategic, but you bring up a good point. You still have to have good marketing. It can't be a cheesy billboard on digital or on that kind of old post-board classic. It has to be good marketing, and you're a perfect example. Your billboard's been blowing up, and I guess we should use that as a quick case study.
But it has to support your digital strategy
and be authentic.
Billboard,
yes.
If the billboard has to look somewhat like your digital strategy on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn,
it has to be tied to what you're trying to achieve online, which is, and if you're a professional service provider, an independent, modern thought leader that authentically captures your brand. So you, as an example, do a lot of content that's in and outside of the law, but you're also a owner of a general practice law firm. You are a massive advocate for the underdog. You service law in a ton of different areas, and you kind of have this bifurcated brand right now where you're kind of a thought leader on critical thinking and kind of bringing people together on both sides, as well as operating a law firm that's rooted in special forces principles. So we created this billboard that kind of looks like it could be like your Spotify cover. Kind of has that casual kind of pose. You're dressed not in a full suit, but you can still see that you're refined, you're smart, intelligent. And we just put the tagline, when you can't afford to lose. No phone numbers, no websites. None of that stuff is necessary because nobody's driving past a billboard being like, shit, let me get that phone number down. It's just, it's supporting a message that we're constantly hitting with people online, and it's raising your status because if they've seen you on socials, they're like, oh, there's that guy, there's the rogue lawyer. If they haven't seen you on socials, when they go and look for you, or if it now pops up on your phone, because we're also using geo-targeting for those billboards, which is another great way to bring digital into a permanent placement. They're seeing your content that's outside of the law, so they're now placing you into their daily lives, even when they don't need a lawyer, which is what's so important about personal brands when we talk about with creating content is be an expert on whatever you're an expert about. Doesn't have to just be what you do from 9 to 5, because people want to trust who they're working with. And when you're a well-rounded, intelligent individual, or you have an opinion on a specific thing, you're aligning with other people that share those values, and you're fitting into your life and you're capturing their attention, which is, when we're in an attention economy, it's everything.
And what you brought up there is some of the strategic thinking that's missing in marketing companies.
Oh, yeah.
And if you're if you have a marketing company, if you're looking for marketing and somebody hasn't talked to you about geo-targeting,
or heat mapping, yeah.
Or heat mapping, they're probably not at the cutting edge, because what you just brought up there is billboard companies often will kind of force you to put billboards in all these different locations. But if you know you have a static billboard for a while, what you can do is geo-target your Instagram reels or your TikTok reels to that area. So people who are driving by, if they're looking at their phone at a stoplight, which you're not supposed to do and I don't recommend, but even if they live in the neighborhood, the likelihood of getting repeat messaging, which increases the stickiness factor, is an exponential force multiplier. And I don't think anybody is doing that other than you and your team.
Definitely not for service providers, right? They're grossly underserviced when it comes to marketing, and most service providers are without knowing and experiencing marketing malpractice, because they're just being sold and fed old marketing techniques that are so outdated. And because
I think dentists are a huge example. They're spending a fortune on marketing and having
crappy marketing,
no effect.
And because their industry is so antiquated, there's no baseline. Like if you're in consumer packaged goods,
I think the industry in dentistry, it got overtaken by coaches who were focused on telling them how to make more money and were selling marketing. Like they were business coaches with cheesy marketing on top. And it consumed every practice. They're using the same people. That's why it's good to go sometimes out of your field. Get somebody who's an expert in another field to come in and take a look.
I completely agree. Well, that's even like what, on a personal note, you know, I've kind of struggled with is when you also are doing killer out of the box marketing, you can't service competitors in the same market, because then it's no longer out of the box. Like you have multiple clients doing it. So that's kind of why we say professional service providers, and why it can be confusing is because profession to profession, if you sell your expertise, it's really not that different. It's just what the actual service is. But like the psychology and what people are looking for and how they buy doesn't change.
Yeah, think of it for a dentist. It applies to a lawyer and a doctor, right? But you got a dentistry degree. So what are you selling? I have a dentistry degree, and I'll give you free teeth whitening. Maybe, but most people are terrified of dentists, right? And so they're drawn to the dentist who resonates with them, who they feel comfortable with. And we're not seeing good branding in the dentist world.
It's funny you say that, because there's like that kind of that old like marketing, I don't want to call it, but anyway, you know, myth? It's like not a myth, but like a saying, I guess, where, you know, they're not looking for an 8-inch screw. They're looking for an 8-inch hole or whatever, like to hang the picture frame. Yeah. And it's funny, like dentistry has actually almost taken that like too literally, where their marketing is like white, pearly, clean, shiny teeth. Like that's the expected outcome. And you see companies like Dent out of the United States that actually was like, okay, well, let's assume that having clean teeth is the expected baseline. Yeah. Right? Like what do actually
Nobody's coming out with dirty teeth.
Yeah, no one's coming out with dirty teeth. Like how can we make the experience or the messaging better to actually sell our product in a sea of sameness? And it's like, that's like the biggest thing with professional service providers, and why I was bringing up like the consumer packaged good piece. Like if you're Coca-Cola or Pepsi, you cannot do the same thing for 15 years. Like you have to constantly be changing. And I was just reading something like Coca-Cola stays number one because it pays to stay number one, right? And in these service providers and in these antiquated industries, like they're looking inwards. They're not innovating. They're not changing. They're not asking questions, and they're too busy literally selling the 8-inch hole, which is like, okay, we understand that you've gone to school to clean teeth. You're board certified to do such. Give me more in your marketing.